Everyone, I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about Rob Liefeld quitting Marvel. So Rob Liefeld is best known for his comic book creations of X-Force, characters like Cable, but the character that he is most known for creating is Deadpool. Yes, the fourth wall joke breaking, Merc with the mouth. Yes, he created that character. It was also co-created by Fabian Nicieza, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly, actually.
Yeah, I don't remember how to pronounce it, but yeah.
Rob Liefeld is also one of the original founding members of Image Comics, actually. So the original idea for Image Comics, if you ever watch any documentary about how they formed Image Comics with people like Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane, they wanted to have basically full creative control over their own IPs. That was the idea behind Image Comics. And we know Image Comics was very, very successful because a lot of their books ended up selling very, very well. Youngbloods sold very well when Rob Liefeld launched it as a title under Image Comics. Now, Rob Liefeld has had
3 issues it came out.
Yeah. So Rob Liefeld has had a up and down relationship with, well, basically Marvel and Marvel Comics, actually. He weirdly always goes back to them, even though they've treated him like pure shit, and most creators like pure shit for basically just creating characters for them that they get to make basically millions to billions of dollars off of. But what really made this all come full circle was, so around the time period that Deadpool and Wolverine came out, do you remember he made a series of tweets that were like, hey, I'm really, really frustrated right now with what just happened. I'll go into it later. And that was around the same time that Deadpool and Wolverine had just came out, during that week, actually. And he was still celebrating it coming out as well as the movie, because it did very, very well. Movie ended up making over $1 billion plus. It's, it was a pretty good movie overall. Really fun movie, kind of back to the Deadpool form. And we kind of needed a movie like Deadpool and Wolverine at that moment in time because the MCU had been pumping out a lot of garbage, let's just say, right? So we also did the video on the comic book channel, as you guys are watching this video on there, where it was announced that he would be returning to Image Comics, actually, to do a new ongoing series based around his characters, Youngblood, right? And Youngbloods are characters that he literally started, and then he's basically given it away to multiple people. Keep in mind, guys, Youngbloods right now is not even owned by him. He sold it to somebody else, actually. So even he doesn't believe in Youngbloods as an IP. Maybe him returning back to it, who knows, right? But if you guys want to go and check out our thoughts on that topic, that video is uploaded on the channel.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah. So after that, he actually went on Twitter and he quote tweeted The Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and Deadline, and all the media outlets talking about him quitting Marvel. And he basically confirmed it. Yes, I am quitting Marvel. And he cited poor treatment that he felt that he had received from Kevin Feige and the people that worked at Marvel. And on the red carpet, he felt he was very disrespected. Now, I know one of the biggest things he's talked about was that the whole credits as far as like Deadpool. So do you guys know how you watch like anything superhero related? And it'll say basically in the credits, characters created by X person. Superman's the biggest one. Obviously, Jerry Siegel, Joel Shuster, right? Even in the DC All-In #1 special comic book, it'll say characters created by Jerry Siegel, Joel Shuster, I actually understand his frustration when it comes to that. Literally, and people are going to say, you sound like a leftist when you say this. I mean this as far as respecting the creator. It takes literally less than 5 seconds of credit time to mention the person who created the characters. That's it. All you do. First opening credit as a movie's opening, right? Characters created by X person. That's the least you can do, because keep in mind, had these several creators not created these characters, you wouldn't be getting this movie at this point. The creators create the characters so the studios could eventually use them to make all this money, right? We know there's stories about the guy that wrote the Captain America Winter Soldier storyline for the comic books, how much money he didn't basically get from Marvel Comics. I understand it's work for hire. I understand that. But keep in mind, guys, these are creators that have generated Marvel literally millions of dollars potentially, and they're getting like Trump change. That doesn't really sit well, right? Because in the novel scene, you write a good book, you're making a lot of money constantly because it's your book. But that's why it's different between Marvel and that's different between comic books to novels, where the comic books, you create stuff for them and they kind of treat you like shit, even though you're the one that gave them the good stuff in general. So another thing about Rob Liefeld that people don't consider, even though I've never met the guy, this guy has a comic book crowdfunder that he is literally, I shit you not, about 9 years late on funding. People showing EVS and all the other guys for being late. Go look it up right now. He just added an update to it.
Now I think that's how you get in these days.
That comic book that he started to get crowdfunded was launched in 2013. Guys, we are in 2025 right now. This guy is literally years late. He's also tried launching other characters. Do you remember when he tried launching that character named Last Blood? Whatever. It's a character with the giant helmet.
I do remember that.
Yeah, he tried launching on Whatnot. Did he ever launch Last Blood 2? No, because no one cared about the first book, actually. And he was charging like $30 for a floppy. $30 for a floppy is just ridiculous in and of itself, right?
That's like EVS money there, bro.
So this guy's had just an up and down relationship with Marvel Comics throughout the years. But people have also asked me, hey, MSK, then how would you credit a guy named Joe Kelly? Because Joe Kelly is the guy where his iteration of Deadpool, the one that he wrote, even though it's created by Rob Liefeld and Fabian, his Deadpool is the version that you guys see in movies, the wisecracker, the fourth wall jokes, and all that crazy shit he does. So someone said, would you credit Joe Kelly? Yes. It doesn't take that long. Just say characters created by X person, inspired by X person. It's not that hard. It's not that hard at all to do, obviously. So Rob Liefeld now is going to be moving on back to Image Comics, a company that I might misspeak here. I'm not sure, but I remember I read this somewhere. He tried suing them at one point. It seems like a guy who's very, very bipolar. No offense to him if you watch this video. You are a very, very bipolar weirdo. This man went on a tirade about people not liking The Last Jedi, and I showed you the tweet where he had it initially there, then I showed you the link back to the tweet, and he deleted it. It's like, what's wrong with this guy? This guy's mentally deranged, So I'll ask you, as far as like him and Deadpool and all that stuff. This guy brags about creating Deadpool and X-Force and Cable.
He glommed onto Deadpool. It wasn't even when the Joe Kelly thing hit. It wasn't when the other thing. It was actually like when Deadpool kind of the original series was finally stopped. Like, it never made it to 100 issues. The original run, I think, was the 80s or 90s. And it stopped, and they brought the character back, but they brought him and Cable back in a duo book. And that was the first time Rob Liefeld had really said shit about the character the entire time the book had a run. The book that set up Deadpool as the character that everybody is familiar with today, that Ryan Reynolds portrayed and took on, that some people even say that Joe Kelly may have like copped a little bit of Ryan Reynolds for the story or for the character. Like, there's this like which came first thing, but either way, it was Joe Kelly's run and Gail Simone and Jimmy Palmiotti and a lot of other people. I'd have to go look back and see who all else did Deadpool runs, but everyone kind of contributed to what Joe Kelly had started with his first 30 issues. They took some very loose inspiration from things that went on in Circle Chase with Deadpool, where he was like this chaotic villain that showed up that was mostly just a pain in the ass, but he never really stood out. There was nothing about him that you could read those old books and be like, oh yeah, that's the Deadpool I always knew. It would just be like, here's Deadpool. I know, I bought tons of them and I read them. And there was interesting stories. There was a time him and Wolverine had a throwdown in an older issue
They've
of
had a lot
Wolverine.
of
There's definitely,
bouts
yeah.
throughout
Well,
history. Yeah.
it was implied and throughout history, like in the earlier books, I'm talking about back
Yeah.
before he got any series or miniseries, they crossed paths because Deadpool was established as Canadian and had a Wolverine healing factor. So there'd been those interactions in the past, but it was really him and Cable that kind of had this history that brought him into X-Force and kept him around. So Rob did the art for Cable and Deadpool for a little while. He was involved with the creative process. I think even Fabian Nightsea might have even been on that. But so he came back and he was talking about Deadpool then, and oh yeah, I was a creator. But even at that point, he wasn't like constantly fucking,
Do you remember the Mark Miller
stroking
cancel
that
pick
all
thing?
the time.
Where he's a guy that will randomly basically shill, but then when someone else that's similar to him in sort of like stature, they'll talk about the industry in a bad way, then he'll start making tweets like, no, yeah, I've been through the same things in the comic industry. It's like, Rob, no shit you have, because you fucking created Image. He literally
Yeah,
has
you were
mentioned
there.
multiple times that the reason why they've made Image comics in the first place is because they wanted to have full creative control over their own IP. So he knows how bad Marvel is. Why he goes back to them is ridiculous, but you have to factor in. This is the key thing
Money,
here.
relevance.
Money, and a lot of people in fact don't even consider this. Maybe the stuff that they created an Image really isn't that interesting, The reason why a lot of
none
people,
of it was.
Yeah, a lot of people only think about Image originally up front is because the names attached to the IPs, not the actual IPs themselves. No one knows what Youngbloods are. Guys, Mark Miller wrote on Youngbloods. Even he couldn't push it into fucking stardom status.
Nobody ever cared about it because all of the characters were terribly derivatives. They were all rip-offs of different shit that Rob had worked on his whole career. Rob's problem is that Rob did not have the ability to create something original that people would maintain an interest in.
Outside of the stuff he originally created that did pique interest. Outside of X-Force, Cable, and those other guys. Outside of that.
The stuff that he created for Marvel. And
this is, you can talk about Last Blood. Last Blood just came out, 2023. He tried pushing it. No, he doesn't even talk about that anymore. It's nothing. It's a nothing character. It's a nothing book. Those characters.
Wasn't that one just basically like another Captain America ripoff of his or something, or a Rambo ripoff or something? Like he spent his nut on characters at Marvel and DC, and it was all he had. And this is the thing though. Cable has to this day never had great definition, and it was other people who defined who Cable was than Rob Liefeld. It was really X-Men editorial that defined who Cable was more than Rob Liefeld. He may have created the character. Did he say that it was Scott Summers and Jean Grey's or Madeline Pryor's kid? I mean, maybe he said that at the end of the day, but like, can he even say that? And like, sure, okay, yes, you made the character up in X-Force, and you know what? I don't see him claiming Cable all the time. It's Deadpool. And why is it Deadpool? Because Deadpool is still popular in this moment. But I think with Ryan Reynolds
movie-wise, with Ryan Reynolds,
I think that they move on. Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds' interpretation of Deadpool is what people know right now. Because, guys, you don't know this, Deadpool in comic books has had, it's not a character that you would think of like Batman that's had a singular standalone series for many years. His main book, Deadpool, has been renumbered. God damn.
Oh, dude, like Deadpool isn't even a continuing series anymore. You might as well call it a series of maxi series at best, of like 12-issue series where
on this channel, right? We did Deadpool
every time somebody does
and that was 3 issues.
It's a whole different character.
And Rob Liefeld did Deadpool Team Up. Issue number 5 is going to be dropping this week as we're doing this video. So that's going to be his last book for Marvel. Is he really done with Marvel? I don't know. This guy's kind of went back to them many times.
Until he needs money, dude. That's the thing. Like, nobody cares about Youngblood. I can't believe that somebody bought it from him. He's tried to bring that book back under multiple publishers. and it's never worked. And it's because it never consistently got put out, and the characters weren't interesting. Nobody cared. They just weren't interesting. Which, to be fair, not to show you're shooting on indie creators. No, most of the people who went indie at Image, none of them had the work ethic to succeed. In fact, none of them did.
What's the only known ones?
For
Like Savage
Liefeld,
Dragon.
not Liefeld, sorry.
Savage Dragon's the only
nobody
known
knows
one,
Savage
and
Dragon, dude. I know that Eric Larson
Spawn
still publishes that and makes it, but nobody
Yeah.
knows it. Spawn.
He's
Spawn
the
is
only
the
one.
only thing in Image that anybody knows about, and all of the Spawn derivatives. Those are the only thing with the fan base. That's the only.
And then later on came like, you know, The Walking Dead and Invincible, but that was Robert Kirkman, but that wasn't the original founders. You know?
Yeah, and that's Kirkman, who came in later and worked under the Image window. Image, in that sense, was kind of like Dark Horse. It's a lot of creator-owned stuff.
Yeah,
that people come in and work on and bring their own stuff to the label. In all honesty, that's kind of what Rippaverse was already built into the foundations of it. Like the Horseman is Chuck Dixon and Joe Bennett's creation.
Yeah,
and as Eric July stated before, and how this works, like, these characters are theirs, they own them, so they go with if they left the company, that's their character, they get to keep their IP,
dude.
Even though it's integrated into the universe, kind of, but like, you just take the character with you and you go. You know? Do
you know what's a dumb thing people were saying on Twitter, on his Twitter profile under the fucking comment section? They were like, "Why don't you just go to DC? They'll treat you." They literally said, "Go to DC. They'll treat you better." You guys are retarded. You guys are literally
like
stupid.
He's already been at DC. This is the thing, dude. Modern Comics is on a downhill spiral, and they cannot afford much more than the sycophants they've already got in there. Like, and it's not going to get better. I mean, when IDW fails here in the next fucking year or two, probably
maybe this year after the Diamond situation, maybe
the Diamond situation is the last nail in their coffin, man. Not to mention, they're not even publicly traded anymore. They're worth like fucking 30 cents a share or some shit. I mean, their market cap is at a point that if Eric July is successful in moving 12 books this year, he might nearly be making enough money he could just buy all of IDW.
Yeah, it's true. Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld is done with Marvel, citing the publisher's poor treatment.
So are the former readers. We're all done with Marvel.
The on-again, off-again relationship between Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld and Marvel Comics is off again. This time it seems to be for good. The best-selling comic artist and Image Comics co-founder has admitted he only has a few active years left in comics, and he doesn't plan to spend them working for a place he says disrespects him and his contributions. But keep in mind, guys, Rob knows this. He knows they treat him bad, yet he keeps going back. He might be done right now, but I don't know about the future, because this guy's lied about, being done with them before. Speaking on his podcast, Robservations, Liefeld addressed his leave from Marvel, including Marvel Studios, for alleged poor treatment. In the podcast, Liefeld calls out his recent treatment at the premiere of Deadpool and Wolverine, the latest in a series of skirmishes with Marvel. On both the comics and film, Liefeld, who has written and drawn some of the best-selling Marvel comics of the last 40 years, has split with the company before now. Back in 1992, Liefeld left when he co-founded Image Comics with 6 other artists. He then returned to Marvel for the hugely successful Heroes Reborn run in 1996, but had another falling out with management and split from Marvel again, prompting the publisher to sue him soon after. Good Lord. Holy crap. Comics is a crazy world, people. Liefeld has worked for Marvel on and off again since 2000, but in the last decade or so, he has been working almost exclusively on Cable and Deadpool comics. With the increased popularity of Deadpool and Liefeld's status as a household artist, many of his Marvel runs have become bestsellers for the publisher. Rob Liefeld's also the guy that drew that weird, ugly Captain America buff image that everyone makes fun of. Yeah, this is the guy that drew that. Given these successes, Liefeld is often allowed to tell stories that exist in his own bubble, giving them minimal impact on the Marvel Universe continuity as a whole. Despite a slew of delayed comic launches, Marvel and Liefeld have worked together on release given the scale of his own comic sales. However, 1 year ago today, Liefeld surprised comic readers when he announced he was retiring from Deadpool once he was done with his then series Deadpool Team Up #1. The project was planned to be his final Deadpool run and hit shelves in August 2024, months after the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere. Of course, Liefeld noted in his latest podcast episode that he took offense to his treatment by Marvel Studios given his tenure with the comics history. The complaint has been echoed by countless artists and writers involved in comics, as Hollywood has been accused of downplaying these creators' contributions to the screen. And it has recently caused a snag for DC's upcoming Superman movie. In his podcast, Liefeld explained that even before any studio conflicts began, he was uncomfortable with some editorial decisions at Marvel. Liefeld, who in 2022 made headlines accusing House of X/Powers of X writer Jonathan Hickman of plagiarizing a story, took time to stress Marvel has never been good to creators. The artist even referenced a situation that cropped up in 2023 when Marvel added longtime editor Roy Thomas's name to the Wolverine creator credit, a change Thomas started campaigning for in 2017. Yeah, this guy, Roy Thomas, had no impact on creating Wolverine. He literally only just kind of helped with creating the name. And then Rob Liefeld got mad. He's like, well, why is this guy named a creator of Deadpool, of Wolverine? He has, like, good Lord, Marvel. Yeah, I agree with Rob on that. That's just kind of stupid. That's just kind of dumb. Yeah, you make him like, I don't know, there's a different word for that, but you don't call him a creator. You just worked on the name. Like, what the fuck? Thomas argued, contributors. Yeah, it's the best way to put it. Thomas argued the original idea for Wolverine was his, but some of the industry objected to crediting a person who did not write or draw the character's first appearance. Yes, yeah, I fully agree with that. No, that guy didn't. Yeah, you give him contributor to Wolverine. That's all he gets. For Liefeld, it was Marvel and DC's treatment of creators that led to the founding of Image Comics, a publisher that allows its creators to own their own story and creator and character rights. For a time, Liefeld was on the outs with his Image co-founders, but has patched things up to return to the fold. Yeah, because he knew the writing was on the wall with Marvel, so he wanted to have that as a lifeline for Image. But he already knew this. It's been an off-again, on-again relationship forever. I don't know why he thought it was going to change. Good Lord. Known as the bad boy of comics in the 90s, Liefeld is hardly a stranger to controversy, as the artist has been outspoken in his criticism of those in the industry with whom he disagrees. While his conflicts with Marvel may have been what finalized the artist's announcement, Liefeld has been open about wanting to move away from Big Two comic publishers for a year now, citing poor eyesight and pain in his hands. The artist has suggested he's interested in finishing up stories, starting his own characters. Guys, he already did that. This is not new, okay? This is so good Lord, man. This has happened already. He's already did this stuff before. Ones that he created and still owns at the end of his career. Last year, Liefeld told Comic Book as much when asked about retirement. It was there. The artist admitted his focus on comic creation has narrowed in recent years. So there's a giant quote from him right here. It says, 10 years ago, I would have told you I would have drawn into my 70s. Like anything I do, I went full bore, full speed. I have produced a lot of work. That's just a fact. That's a lot of miles I've put on the board in terms of my eyes, my hand-eye coordination, holding the pencil. Every artist has been asked, do your fingers hurt? Does your hand hurt? Then you go, wow, my forearm didn't used to bother me so long, drawing after an hour, or my eyes, I didn't need to constantly keep focusing. I've adjusted my glasses 3 times in the last about year and a half. I keep going in and my eyes, they're fading. I feel like the work that I have done is strong. I am really comfortable saying the work that I've been doing is strong. I think the audience reaction to it is strong. I wouldn't do as much of it if I didn't like the way it came out, but I feel like you've got to start planning for the end. I really can't see beyond another project outside of this one. In the final stretch of his career, Liefeld wants to work on projects such as Last Blood, a creator-owned series that is often sold out through the collector's platform, Whatnot. The artist also reportedly figured out a deal to work on Youngblood again, a series he created, but once lost the rights. In recent years, the artist has also worked on comics that appealed to him personally, like Snake Eyes and Thundercats. While Liefeld's decade-long career at Marvel is now over, there's likely much more to come from the artist before he sets down the pencil for good. Good Lord. So he also mentioned that Kevin Feige, he treated him very badly at the premiere, like he didn't even acknowledge him. Of course Kevin Feige wouldn't acknowledge him. Guys, Kevin Feige probably isn't the guy that he appears to be on screen. I'll just tell you that right now.
No, Kevin Feige's more than likely just a giant fucking prick. As much as Rob Liefeld is, and you put two pricks together and they're not going to get along. But so see, this is the sketch I was talking about. One thing I can give in a positive light for Liefeld is that he was pretty good with fans in conventions and shit. This is what he called a sketch, dude. He said this was a backboard sketch. This is what he did. Like, that's a whole fucking cover right there, dude. Jim Lee's out there trying to charge people 10 grand for a fucking cover. You color this and it's a Deadpool cover. I watched him create this. This isn't some pre-print shit. He drew this in front of me over the course of about an hour.
Yep.
So I don't know, dude. That's legit. That's fan service right there, man. When you're at a big convention and you're just at your booth and you're doing like artwork like that and giving it away to your fans, that's pretty fucking legit as a creator. There are not a lot of artists out there that would do shit like that. Like at Comic-Con, there was nobody there doing that. You could get backboard sketches, but there was nobody at the scale of Rob Liefeld who was handing them out to you. Like that's unheard of. So, and that was fun. Like there were people there, I remember, while I was in line for it, and they'd gotten art with him before, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, dude, you're gonna be here for a little while." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know what that meant." 5 hours later, after the 5 people in front of me have their sketches, it's like, yeah, Rob doesn't know what a sketch is, so he's gonna do a whole fucking.
He also doesn't know he also can't draw feet to save his life, but that's always been a running gag.
You notice he didn't draw feet on the Deadpool.
Yeah.
He did. So he had whatever, man. Hey, dude, it's a good piece of art. It looked good. It was well drawn. I enjoyed it. It was, shit, dude. He inked it. He didn't quite ink all of it. A little bit, but like he did a really good job of it. It looks really good. He even signed it, so like this is Rob Liefeld's thing. So when it comes to fans, I'll respect what he's done with fans. I think it's like everybody else he seems to beef with. I've never really heard him. I've heard him say stupid, cringy shit, but I don't think I've seen him like overtly attacking fans over shit. So
this was one of his quotes.
And I'm not going to defend him. I still think he's nuts.
Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld will no longer work with Marvel after being denied access to the after party of the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere. He says, and I quote, "Kevin Feige does not treat comic book creators well." And someone had put he
doesn't care about them.
Yeah, guys, he actively, that'll be for another video.
Look at the work that Kevin Feige's done. He absolutely
look at what he's done to disrespect the characters.
Creators.
Yeah, Kevin Feige may have done good in the first 3 phases. Even that's debatable because there's a lot of bad movies in there too.
How much of that was fucking him?
Or Ike Perlmutter or many other people. But keep in mind, guys, Kevin Feige has did a lot to destroy the MCU in recent years with all of his bad decisions. But remember like Jim Starlin, the guy who created fucking Thanos? How much they basically shortchanged that guy, basically utilizing his storylines for Marvel Comics, even though those movies generated like billions of dollars. He only made like $1,000 or some shit. Like, good Lord, man, they do not treat the creators very well at all. So the Hollywood Reporter had the article here first, and it basically just goes over a lot of what we talked about initially up front, but it was these quotes right here that really, really push things over the edge. Oh, sorry, edge right here. So this was the main meat and potatoes right here when talking about the whole after party thing. At the premiere, Liefeld learned that he and his family were not invited to the after party, something he was accustomed to attending. He also felt snubbed by Disney brass, including Marvel Studios' boss Kevin Feige, whom he says was near him on the red carpet but did not acknowledge him. If that's true, Kevin Feige,
what a prick move.
That's
I mean,
bad.
he is a prick. I mean, he is, dude.
I mean, yeah, Liefeld himself is kind of bipolarly weird, but Kevin Feige,
yeah,
you do not
well,
have
that's the thing, dude. Pricks is just gonna be bad for everyone.
Like, does Kevin Feige know without Rob Liefeld creating that character, you wouldn't have a Deadpool? Hey, Tracy, Rob Liefeld's creation is the one that saved the MCU for 2024. They had no movies to pop out in 2024. Nothing. You know? I would suggest treating your comic book creators more efficiently.
Feige and someone doesn't know that.
Someone I posted,
Feige has no idea.
So someone I posted, well, they treated this other one guy good. Guys, just because they treated one person good does not mean they treat everybody good. And keep in mind, that's also debatable amongst like who you talk to anyway, because if you're listening to like media, they'll just say you on some bullshit anyway. He says, it was meant to embarrass, diminish, defeat me. I'll read that one more time. It was meant to embarrass, diminish, defeat me. Liefeld said on his podcast of not gaining access to the after party. And there was another apparent slight. Liefeld said he posed for professional photos with creatives on the Deadpool and Wolverine team, but later was told by his publicist that those photos were deleted. Oh, Marvel, holy shit. He believes they were only taken as a courtesy and not intended to be used, though other photos featuring Liefeld alone, as well as with his family, appeared as part of Disney's Getty Press portal from the event. Soon after July's premiere, he decided he would cut ties with Marvel, which he believed no longer wanted him around. At some point, you go. I've received the message, and the message is clear, he said on his podcast. So, good God, man. Oh, shit. This is crazy. Holy crap. On June 3rd, 2024, Liefeld fired off an email to Marvel asking if he could receive a special credit on Deadpool and Wolverine and inquiring what else might be offered to him in terms of access to movie premieres and other promotional opportunities. Liefeld did not ask for more money, as he already has perhaps the richest deal among Marvel creators. Marvel generally credits comic creators at the end of the movie, but Liefeld wanted to be elevated to something more significant, citing opening credits of 1978's Superman, which prominently listed Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster as the co-creators of Superman. And keep in mind, he deserves that. I don't disagree with him on that. He deserves that. All comic book creators deserve that. That shouldn't even be a hot take. That shouldn't be debatable. That shouldn't be a hot take. That should just be, I might not like you personally, but I respect you for creating this character. That's actual respect. You know? Marvel's treatment of creators has never been their strength, Liefeld wrote in an email. With the words, the characters, and the concepts that we create, and in this specific case, the world of Deadpool, there are no films to shoot, no blockbusters to distribute. I am not the easy button at Staples. I am the human imagination behind it all. Oh, Rob Liefeld's such a fucking, this guy's ego's out of this world. He asked if his request could be elevated to Feige or Disney CEO Bob Iger. Comic book creators cannot continue to be relegated as afterthoughts. This is easy to address. Unless I reach out to address it, it will never manifest, he continued. Liefeld did not receive a response, but was told by his agents at Verve that the message was not received well inside Marvel. A day later, he tweeted, "My reps were screamed at today. We are not Fox. Tell me about it." Also hung up on. He believes that tensions stemming from this email led to him not being invited to the Deadpool Wolverine after party. So they got mad that he just wanted to be credited in the movie's opening credits. This is just, oh, good Lord.
Yeah, it sounds like exactly the kind of shit you should expect from Disney. Like, as a creative, I don't know why people fucking create with them or work with them if they're
Yeah.
not aligned on the
Mhm.
message and shit these days. Like, yeah, it just sounds like ass. I don't know why
Mhm.
these creatives do it. Well, I know why they do it. It's because they're getting paid. They want money. That's it. So frankly, I don't really care about their bitching when the food truck runs out, man, and they're no longer welcome at the craft services table. Oh well. You signed
Mhm.
up for this ride. You knew who you were getting in bed with. You know the kind
Yeah.
of shit that these people do, and I can't like care.
Mhm.
You chose to be in this, so whoop-de-doo, you know?
Yeah. The last part of this, he says he admits he was nervous about dropping this podcast and revealing what he considers a loss. Well, it shouldn't be considered a loss if you felt like you were disrespected. That shouldn't be considered a loss. Getting denied from a party isn't the type of thing he usually publicized, but it seems like his fan base liked his more vulnerable side, or maybe it was spilling the Marvel tea, as the episode became the most downloaded in Robservation's 5-year history. Guys, people just love drama. That's just what it is. This will never
Like,
happen
how
again for
many
one of his
views
episodes.
does his
I don't
podcast
know.
get? Like, is this actually something people are watching? I think I'd heard that he had one before, but I just don't think I ever cared.
Yeah.
I don't know that I care anymore now, but like I guess I am mildly curious. Like, is anybody actually watching his show?
So you guys also remember the part we're talking about Joe Kelly. So right here was another thing that he got mad about, which was Liefeld, for his part, tells THR he is the one who lobbied 20th Century Studio to give both himself and Nazia co-creator status in the first two Deadpool movies. He has cited writer Joe Kelly for introducing the now integral fourth wall breaking characteristic of the antihero 7 years after Liefeld created him, and he often credits Deadpool star Ryan Reynolds for elevating the character to the global stage and new levels of popularity. So, good lord, man. Oh, fucking hell. I don't get this. Why is it so hard? If a guy's just like, can I just be credited? I'm not even asking for more money. Can I just be put, you put my name, getting part of the movie? We could be all good. And they hate comic book creators. They literally
Oh yeah,
hate
they do.
the comic book creators and they hate the artist.
Well,
This
look what they
shouldn't
do
even
with
be
the
a
medium
problem.
they created. Look
Yeah.
at what they do with the material that they created. They bastardize all of it. They fuck it
Mhm.
right in the butt. So
This
doesn't
shouldn't even
surprise
be a
me. They
problem.
do. They've always hated comic book creators because they hate comic book. They hate the fans. Moreover, this shit didn't end up this way
Mhm.
because people who love this medium
Mhm.
made these movies or were involved in it at any stage.
Mhm.
This was done explicitly because, in all honesty, I think that the way this really turns out, you could call, oh, it was because they went woke or DEI. You know what it really probably is at the end of the day? It might be something so simple as the fact that Hollywood hated fans of these movies who spent all this, who made them so popular. Hollywood hated superhero movies, and they hated, moreover, the fact that they took over the business. They were the only things making money, and it pissed off all of these creatives. We were making art movies, and before, now it's just slapping. It's like, so I feel like the few that do actually get work in it do a shit job because they hate this medium, they hate these kinds of films, they hate this stuff. Hollywood has always hated it, and it's why they just stopped putting effort in on it. I think there's a lot to do with the fact that Hollywood has always hated the genre, and they didn't want to be
Actually
making these movies.
despise it,
So to
if
make
you
them
know.
shit, to make them
Yeah.
terrible, was the only way to finally kill these things and get it off their plate. Because in 5 years, if Superman flops, and I mean, we're gonna watch Captain America flop, that's a foregone
Captain
conclusion.
Africa
When
American.
those movies shit the bed, and then Superman hits, and then Thunderbolts flops, and then Fantastic Four, if those movies basically don't do well, next year is not looking good for the superhero marketplace. Who's gonna put money into that? Do they finish the last Avengers movies if Fantastic Four loses money? Like, I really have to stop, and I got a question. Like, do they do that? And if they do those movies, if Fantastic Four flops and they do those movies, I think they write them in such a way that they shutter the universe and be done with it. They finally say, "Here, we're done. We're not doing this anymore." Like, and most of these projects fade away. Look at what happened with Star Wars. They destroyed Star Wars and Star Wars fans so much because they hated Star Wars that everything they've put forth to put out for, we're doing this new Star Wars project or that new Star Wars project. I mean, Skeleton Crew was already done, but everything else, all the films with all the different creators they were supposedly working with, all of those are on indefinite hiatus, which means they're all basically canceled. They keep talking about the Rey movie, but that's not started shooting either. So all of these things seem to just basically be on hold until
Yeah.
people probably don't even mention them anymore, and they will quietly
This,
shutter
this
the
is the thing, man.
productions and be done with it.
Creators beside him, Jim Sterling, the guy that wrote the Captain America Winter Soldier story, they've talked about this
Yeah.
too. Where, I mean, I don't know what Rob Liefeld was saying at the time when they came out with their issues with Marvel, but Marvel Comics' artists and writers always act against their own self-interest, where they want to be against the person that's speaking out, but they know they're getting treated badly too. I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense at all. The guy that's telling it like it is, calling your business out for how badly they're treating creators. Yeah, you should be like with that guy. Remember that situation with that one comic book creator? Oh, not comic creator, the comic book shop owner, where he called out the entire industry, and then you had a fucking Donny Cates calling him a hog. It's like, he's the guy that has to sell your comic books. Have a little bit more respect there.
He's calling you out because you've wasted his money for years now. You've given him product that he can't move. And comic book stores, like, in all honesty, if they're not finding other avenues to sell shit, or they're not moving trades or toys or something else, like, if you're sitting there relying on a new bookshelf, you're probably not going to be in business for long. Like, there's a comic book shop that I go to sometimes out here that's over in the very, very expensive part of town. Like, I was in there on a Wednesday and there wasn't a body in that shop, but maybe one person walked in after me. Like, a couple people walked in and out. Nobody was there buying anything. Anytime I've been there, nobody's there buying anything. And I'm like, how the fuck is this guy doing this without losing money? He's got a length of the store for the, he's got the length of the one of the walls of the store with new books, like new books from the past few months though, really. And it's like he's got current books and the new books or whatever, but he's got a bunch of them up there, and it's like, how are you doing business, dude? You don't have enough back issues. You have a little bit of t-shirt and some trades here. At least I'll give him credit. He had more trades than some stores I see do. But it's like, how is it you're doing business, man? There's no way you're over here. There's no way he's affording the rent for this in this part of town to run a comic book shop that isn't like fucking packed constantly. So I don't know. Maybe he launders money for the cartel or something, which is kind of what I assume in most of the places like that.
It has to be either online sales or he's just making money in other different places. Because that's the thing when it all boils down to.
I don't know.
Rob Liefeld having this on and off again relationship, even though he could have easily already had been investing into his IPs, that he had an Image. He knew this was a possibility, guys. There's the reason, like we mentioned earlier in the video, there's the reason why Image Comics was created. But then, as we know, Jim Lee went back to the mainstream. He's doing whatever in DC.
Jim Lee sold his entire fucking soul out to DC Comics. Jim Lee sold
had no faith to bet on himself. Actually,
not even that. He sold his IPs. He sold his soul. He sold his relevance. He sold that. There isn't, like, Jim Lee isn't even a shadow of him former self. Nobody knows who Jim Lee is. I think
I'm seeing myself in the future on your screen.
Huh?
I'm seeing myself in the future on your screen.
In the
future?
I'm
good looking.
In the future. You mean in the past?
But yeah. So
that's the correct word.
Well, so I'll ask you this: what are your closing thoughts on Rob Liefeld quitting Marvel in his
Uh,
last book coming
in
up.
all honesty, it means absolutely nothing to me, and it should mean nothing to anybody else. It
Mhm.
is the most meaningless comic book story that his publicist. You know why this is hitting everywhere and being pushed around? His
Mhm.
publicist is making sure that these articles get written. His
Oh yeah.
publicity company is paying to get a couple articles written, probably because Rob had to drop some cash on it. I mean, I
Do you think he's
doubt
over
he's technically
exaggerating in any of the
at all.
stories? A lot of people say he's over
Absolutely,
exaggerating.
he is. Of
He
course, he
probably
is.
is. Yeah.
He's not. You don't have the whole context, but also at the same time, yeah, Kevin Feige's kind of an asshole. He's been an asshole to comic book creators in the past, and Rob Liefeld is no different. Kevin Feige thinks he's better than them because comic book creators are beneath him. They're not even screenwriters. And that's the way people like him think. It just is what it is, man. He's a corporate
To Kevin Feige, comic book
schmoozy
creators.
jagoff.
As for my final thoughts, Kevin Feige just sees comic book creators, artists, and writers as people that created characters for him to farm in the MCU to make billions of
I don't
dollars.
even think he knows that most of them. I don't think he knows who created most of the characters that are in the MCU. Anyways,
No, he
he
doesn't.
doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, these people actively do not like comic book creators, artists, writers, and fans, as evident of Marvel Comics' treatment of some of these people. So, yeah, for me, hey, I'll give Youngbloods a chance when he drops it in 2025. It's coming out later in this year. I'll see if it's worth my time. Read issue 1, see if it's worth it. It's not, dropping it, because Rob Liefeld's not ever known for his writing prowess. Like Deadpool team
Dude,
up.
so
No
few
one's talking
artists
about
are
Deadpool
known
team
for their
up.
writing prowess.
But like that final book that he's dropping, Deadpool team up number 5, coming out this week. No one's talking about Deadpool team up. Guys, Deadpool had another ongoing series that's like around 18 issues where they killed him off. Apparently, he came back. Fucking ridiculous shit we're doing that character now. Deadpool with comics doesn't really hit people.
Character's a mess.
Yeah.
No, they've destroyed it. Every time somebody new starts writing Deadpool, it's just a whole other different fucking character. Everything that defined the character is a disaster.
Yeah.
When they tried to actually define him, they let it go and they ruined it, and they've given it to people who, like, do you remember the 5 seconds when they had the Deadpool mercs for money or whatever the fuck it was?
The Deadpool
Fucking
corpse.
rainbow colored Deadpools and shit. The Deadpool corpse.
Yeah.
No, not even the Deadpool corpse. This was worse. This was literally a bunch of characters, like D-list characters that basically got put into Deadpool costumes to be like different color. Literally,
Yeah.
they made a comic out of this, and they ran this for a minute, and then that was after the Deadpool corpse, and then they brought the Deadpool corpse back because multiverse.
Rob Liefeld said he based the Lady
and
Deadpool off Blake Lively. It's like, bro, oh my goodness.
he didn't base
He
that
did
off
not.
of shit.
He wasn't watching
It was-
Gossip Girl. I mean, maybe he would.
No,
He
it
definitely
was
bitches
just a
like
chick
one.
with tits that he drew. And I don't even think he was the one that created Lady Deadpool. It was something else. They were doing that with every fucking character. That was like the same time when they did Spider-Gwen.
Oh, and Spider Pig and all that other shit. So yeah, it's always, I wanted to point that out here before we in this video. It's always a he said, she said thing. We do not know the full context. And Rob Liefeld has definitely been a guy that has been, very bipolar, over exaggerates. I understand where he's coming from with some stuff. I fully do. The creator name thing, I fully agree with that. But he's also a guy that's been laid on a crowdfunder campaign going on about almost 9-10 years. So,
Bro, that's how you get into Comicsgate Kings. He's just
Kangs.
angling.
Comicsgate Kings.
Kangs.
So
they was Kangs.
So thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video. I'm MSK, aka Master Swag King, and we're going to sign out, guys. See you guys later. Deuces. Peace.